Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи! В эфире программа Ushanka Show. Hello, comrades. This is your favorite Soviet nerd, Comrade Sergey.
Problem is that this guy has very little knowledge about the USSR. He is so dumb that sometimes he cannot distinguish between shortcomings of the Ukrainian Soviet Republic and simply technology of the time. When he left his home country, he was barely old enough to understand the dynamics of the society he lived in.
So today we're going to take a look at another interesting KGB document from 1953. It just got surfaced. And it was declassified in 2013. This is a report from Ukrainian KGB to the Central Committee of Communist Party of Ukraine. And as I said, it was dated June 1953. And it was secret, so not top secret, just secret. So a short history background. In March of 1953, Comrade Stalin passed away. So we're talking less than 4 months or so. So this is the event when Khrushchev just became the leader of the Soviet Union. So this is the time frame. So this KGB report is addressed to Comrade Kirichenko Alexei Illarionovich, and I got curious and looked it up, and God bless Google. It makes researchers' life so easy now, because in less than 5 minutes I actually found out quite an interesting story about this Comrade Kirichenko. So Kirichenko was quite interesting character, and he's kind of like the standard Soviet apparatchik. His life was very similar to many other Soviet leaders. He was born in 1908, grew up in a poor family in Ukraine, so he was Ukrainian. And he went through all the struggles, and then his lucky strike was in 1938, so he was only 30 when he met Nikita Khrushchev. So they became good friends. He survived the war, and he was with the Khrushchev during the World War II. So, of course, it helps to know important people in the Soviet Union, just like pretty much anywhere else. And that helped him to become a general, not a general, but first secretary of Central Committee of Communist Party of Ukraine in June of 1953. So same month that this report, he became first secretary of the Communist Party of Ukraine. And Kirichenko becoming a first secretary, it was kind of like a big deal for Ukraine, because for the first time ever, the Ukrainian became the top dog of Ukrainian Communist Party. Prior to that, never it was a Ukrainian as a first secretary. So it's kind of interesting. Ukrainian Communist Party wasn't run by Ukrainians. And he was trusted by Khrushchev, so he would just keep on climbing the communist ladder. Later, he moved up to Moscow, and I believe he was like a second in command after Khrushchev in the Soviet Union for a while, but then he got in trouble. And his troubles were so Soviet. When I found out about it, I was just chuckling. So in 1959, during the hunt, so apparently Comrade Khrushchev was quite a big fan of hunting. Mr. Comrade Kirichenko and Nikita Khrushchev shot at the same boar. So the boar got killed, and they got into argument who actually killed the boar. When they cut the boar open, they found 2 bullets, and of course, whoever did that claimed that there was a Nikita's shot that finished the boar, and Comrade Kirichenko got upset, started yelling that's not truth, and Khrushchev wasn't happy about it. And after that, Kirichenko's career took a steep dive. In my personal opinion, it's really not a good idea to choose people that loyal to you, not people who are smart and good in their field, because all you do is just surround yourself with a bunch of butt kissers instead of professionals, and you can't run the company or the country well. So Comrade Kirichenko ended up resigning from his position as second secretary of the Soviet Communist Party, and then just kind of he was taking positions of less and less significance, and then he retired, and he passed away in 1975, and that went completely unnoticed. And now back to our document, and I apologize for this long detour. It gets me every time, and that's what makes my videos so long and boring. Okay, so now we're back to our KGB document from 1953, and it's titled Сообщение, so it's like an information about arrest of the group of spekulanты. So spekulant is people who speculate, who sell for profit, which was illegal. It was crime in the Soviet Union. And this arrest happened in March of 1953 in the Ukrainian town of Stanislav. Now, if you look at the map right now, you won't be able to find Stanislav because it's not there. Stanislav was the old Polish town that became part of Ukraine after World War II, when the Stalin carved a big chunk of Poland and transferred it to Ukraine. And in 1962, so about 9 years after this report, it was renamed into Ivano-Frankovsk, after the famous Ukrainian writer Ivan Franko. Okay, so before we get to this report, I want to warn you guys, if you have a sensitive stomach, you might don't want to listen any further, because when I was sharing this story with my wife, she got very upset about the whole story and about all the details mentioned in this story. So this report states that the local militia in Stanislav region arrested on May 23rd, 1953, a group of speculanti, total of 3 people, that were speculating meat, and also were producing meat products using meat from fallen cattle and killed dogs. So we're talking about animals that died from diseases and got not like slaughtered animals. Then the report mentions the members of this criminal group. The main guy was Edward Gangnus, born in 1916, Polish, not a party member, who worked at the local Stanislav Gorkommunhos. It's like a local city management facility, and he was in charge of catching stray dogs. And also, it's kind of interesting, it mentioned that in 1941 till 1944, he served in the German labor battalion. So he was, during German occupation, he actually worked for Germans. Second arrested person was his wife, Gangnus Mikhailina, born in 1919. So this couple, they're in the late 30s. She was Ukrainian by nationality, non-party member, and it mentions she nigде не работала, so she didn't work anywhere. So notice the detail, they always mention nationality of arrested person, and also if they party members or not. And a kind of interesting side note, in the description of this female person, they also mentioned her 2 brothers, Mikhail and Vladimir. They served in German police during the occupation, and in 1944 they ran away with Germans to the Polish territory. So those guys were bad guys. And the third person, helper, was Yestafi Spirak, born in 1912, a Ukrainian, a non-party member. Also, he lived in Stanislav and didn't work anywhere. So officially they were unemployed. But remember, in Soviet Union there was zero unemployment. So according to militia report, Comrade Gangnus, who was in charge of catching stray dogs, he killed them. Then he sold the skin to Zagod Korsiryo. So there was a company purchasing from population like cow hides and stuff. So he sold dog hides to this company, but meat was sold to people using his wife. So he call it that it's a beef, and also they used the fat of the dogs. I don't know how much stray dogs have fat, but that's what was done. So they were selling dog hides and then selling dog's meat, claiming there was beef. Well, it's getting even better. Besides that, he also was going to the cattle cemetery and recovered fallen pigs. So, if the pig died from natural disease, you have to throw it away. You can't use it. So he was watching that cattle cemetery, pet cemetery, and he was stealing those dead pigs, and then they made different kalbasas and sausages out of it, and also they cooked the fat to turn it to smolet, so that would be like a lard, turn into lard. And these products were sold on the market by his wife. And as example, they mentioned then on night of May 23rd, Comrade Gagnus picked up at the cattle cemetery a dead pig that weighed about 90 kilos with the purpose of making sausages out of it and selling on the market. So it sounds like somebody caught him stealing that dead pig, fallen pig, and then he got arrested. During the apartment search, militia or cops discovered 25 kilograms of cooked lard from the fallen animals. There was this dead pig. They also discovered 13 pieces of raw dog hides and 2 pieces of cow hides. So I guess he recovered 2 fallen cows and processed them, but still had skins, still had hides. Then it states that lab analysis confirmed that confiscated meat contained, in Russian it's called trupnaya palichka. Google translated like cadaveric stick. So this bacteria that appears when dead body, right? So cadaveric bacilla, whatever. And so that's not a good stuff to eat because you can get sick really bad. And then that the cooked lard actually was a mix of dog fat with pig fat. During the investigation, it was discovered that Comrade Gagnus during 1952-1953 picked up at the cattle cemetery 3 dead pigs, 2 of which was already processed into sausages and sold at the market of Stanislav, that town, for 20 rubles per kilo, and they sold that lard for 30-35 rubles per kilo. Besides those activities, his wife, together with that third person that got arrested, Spirak, they traveled quite a few times to Riga, Latvia, so the 2 Baltic states, where they brought fabrics and it says modelная обувь, so like stylish shoes, model shoes, which they resold for спекулятивные цены, so for speculative prices in Stanislav. So quite an entrepreneurship couple. They made their own meat, made their own sausages. They went and purchased shoes and fabrics to resell. So there's a real capitalist right there. They're just not popular in Soviet Union. Probably model shoes, proper translation would be like designer shoes. So in Riga, they still make nice looking shoes. And then it claims that money that they made with these criminal ways, they managed to purchase a house for 55,000 rubles. That's a lot of money. And as well as a lot of says ценные вещи. So usually it's like expensive goods. So they probably claim it's like golden chains, rings and stuff like that. So they invest the extra cash because you can't buy, boat or go on a trip. So those, they spent like 100,000 rubles on that thing. So they made a lot of money. So they got arrested, their stuff got confiscated, and investigation continues. Okay, my goodness, so this is the end of this report, and I understand that there is quite a bit to digest no pun intended, in this story, and I hope your stomach stayed solid and didn't lurch around. So there's quite a few conclusions you can actually produce out of this report. First of all, people who believe that during Stalin or after Stalin that Soviet Union was doing great, there was stores had plenty, that kind of tells you that people were desperate. Like, they paid a lot of money for meat on the market. That means the stores had bare shelves, they had nothing to sell. If people risking dealing with dead animals like that, with fallen animals, going to the cattle cemeteries and they recover pigs and then they use dead killed stray dogs to process. So it tells me that people probably were starving and ready to buy any questionable product just because they need to eat. And the second conclusion, I think we talked about it before, that there were people out there in the Soviet Union that actually wanted to have a business, make their own money. Here we're talking about, if they will be in America, they'll be, Oscar Mayer level type of company, because they come up with some amazing recipe that even picking up dogs and fallen pigs, they managed to make delicious sausages that people were buying over and over again and had no questions about origins. So they probably would be very successful here in America, but they got in big trouble there in the Soviet Union. Unfortunately, there's no information about what happened to those criminals, but my guess, they went to prison for extended period of time, at least 5 to 10 years, if maybe more, because that's pretty nasty what they were doing. But here you are, life in the Soviet Union in 1950s, making sausages from killed dogs and fallen pigs. I wanted to say I hope you enjoyed this video, but I know you didn't enjoy this video, but I hope you learned something new, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye. Hey, by the way, cool merch for cool comrades is available at the Ushanka store at teespring.com. Just a friendly reminder that my book American Diaries is available on amazon.com, or shoot me an email if you would like to have a signed copy. Thank you. And if you love my channel and would like to show your support, please click on the link below this video and become the patron of the Ushanka Show. For as little as $1, you can help us grow and create the new, interesting videos about the life in Soviet